Tonight on Podcast Them Down, we're reviewing the second Judas Priest album, Sad Wings of Destiny.
Cast them down!
Hail Metal Nation, it is I, Tim. That is Matt and Doug, and we are here continuing our review of the entire Judas Priest discography, and we're going to be spending a lot of time in the 70s. So, this episode is about Sad Wings of Destiny, released in 1976. It is their second album, and if you missed the Rock-a-Rolla album, first of all, shame on you, and second of all, go listen to it.
Oh, yeah. Fuck off and go listen to it is what I meant.
Right.
Will this have come out after the Rock-a-Rolla episode? Or
yeah, we're releasing them in order.
Yeah,
Oh,
of course.
just confirming for the listener.
Well, oh, no, we're supposed to say pause this episode and go listen to it.
Right.
And then come back. 3, 2, 1. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed rock and roll.
All right. So, background. So, Rock-a-Rolla, the previous album, Judas Priest's debut album, had a mix of styles from a bunch of influences, but Judas Priest found the performance and production disappointing.
Oh.
So, they gigged occasionally in 1975. They played with bands such as Pink Fairies and UFO. And I feel like they put that in the thing because I'm supposed to know who they are, and I don't.
UFO is a pretty big band.
Yeah, name 5 songs.
I mean, I don't know. They're not a fucking Metal Archive, so why would I know?
Right. So John Hinch, the drummer, left the band. Now, I said in the previous episode because Judas Priest felt he wasn't good enough to continue in the direction they wanted to go in. But in the Sad Wings of Destiny thing, it said that for reasons that are disputed.
Oh, no.
He was replaced by Alan Moore in October 1975, who had drummed in an early incarnation of the band. The year before Sad Wings of Destiny, they performed Dreamer, Deceiver, and Deceiver on that BBC Two's The Old Grey Whistle Test. That's the one where they were all dressed as hippies. They were wearing the hippie fashion.
Yeah, so, like Halford's in a flowery blouse.
Yeah, so the songs were written, and as we mentioned in the previous episode, like there were a bunch of songs written for Rock-a-Rolla that didn't make it onto Rock-a-Rolla, and so they're on here. So a lot of the songs were already there.
This is the first I'm hearing about that.
They were well, pause it now and go listen to Rock-a-Rolla. Let's see. They were frustrated with BBC's volume restrictions, as high volume is a key component in producing a heavy metal sound.
Wait, what?
They wore contemporary mid-1970s fashion, including high-heeled boots and frilled shirts, and a long-haired Halford donned a pink satin top, which he later said he borrowed from his sister.
Oh, no.
And his sister, remember, was... Wait, what? His sister was dating Skull, right? Yeah. So Ian Hill stopped going by Skull. So we're going to refer to him as Ian Hill.
Does it affirmatively say that?
No, but I've been doing my research. I'm like several albums ahead now, and no one has called him Skull since that first the first mention of it. Let's see. By 1976, so they didn't like Rock-a-Rolla. They weren't satisfied with how Rock-a-Rolla came out. So by 1976, Rob Halford joked that fans should burn their copies of Rock-a-Rolla. The record label at the time, Gull, provided a recording budget for each of the band's first 2 albums. Do you want to guess what that number is? The entire budget to record each of the first 2 albums.
15,000 pounds.
Do you have a guess, Matt?
I'm going to say 14,999 pounds.
Oh, well, by Price is Right rules, you're both wrong.
Damn it.
It's much, much, much lower.
4 pounds?
No, that's a good guess.
Oh, no, it's going to be like
francs.
20 pounds.
It was 2,000 pounds per record.
Oh dear. Well, that's not great.
I thought this was interesting that they'd bring it up. The band stayed sober during the recording sessions, which lasted from 3 p.m. until 3 a.m.
Oh, okay. Well, that's pretty long.
During the recordings of Sad Wings of Destiny, the band members restricted themselves to 1 meal a day and took on part-time work. Glenn Tipton was a gardener.
Okay.
K.K. Downing worked in a factory, and Ian Hill drove a delivery van. The group went in the studio with the intention of making an album that mixed straight-ahead rock with a progressive edge. And so, just as context, because it's going to come up later, A Night at the Opera by Queen, which is the album with Bohemian Rhapsody, and that song about the car, it came out during the recording of this album.
Okay, all right, that makes sense.
They recorded in Rockfield Studios in Wales, November to December 1975. Album length, 39 minutes, 12 seconds. Good length.
Okay.
Gull Records, and the producers were Jeffrey Calvert, Max West, and Judas Priest. Lineup was Rob Halford, K.K. Downing, Glenn Tipton, Ian Hill, and Alan Moore on drums. All right.
And
Wait,
immediately,
Alan Moore,
we
the
get
comic
to a
book guy?
decision. Yeah, it's the same Alan Moore.
Oh, nice.
Definitely. Most definitely.
Author of The Watchmen, Alan Moore.
Track list. All right, so which track list are we doing, Doug?
All right, so for context for the listener, there's the original Gull Records pressing has what most people, if they've only heard the CD version, consider side B. That was that opened the record. So it's either Prelude, Tyrant, Genocide, Epitaph, then Victim of Changes, or you start with Victim of Changes, and then the beginning, in the middle of the record is the Prelude.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense, because why the fuck is the Prelude the fifth song after music?
Both orders actually work. There's like pros and cons.
Yeah, so the CD I have starts with Victim of Changes. So it's Victim of Changes, Ripper, Dreamer, Deceiver, Deceiver, Prelude, Tyrant, Genocide, Epitaph, Island of Domination. But yeah, the record label, so they screwed up the other one too, didn't they?
They did.
They're 0 for 2 on Priest Records. So this time they got side A and side B mixed up. I have listened to it both ways, with side B first, then side A, and then side A first, and then side B. And I would say neither work better than the other. Like the only thing that doesn't work is Prelude as a title. If you called it something else, you wouldn't notice.
Like Hymn to Sathnas?
That'd be fine.
Satanus.
Oh, it's Satanus, sorry.
And there's one other, this is less discussed, but people assert that Dreamer Deceiver followed by Deceiver is actually a printing error.
I said that this morning.
I was like, someone just scribbled the track listing wrong.
Yeah, it makes a million times more sense for it to be Dreamer followed by Deceiver.
Deceiver.
Not Dreamer Deceiver followed by Deceiver. What?
makes
But-
no
If,
fucking
if,
sense.
if you repeat the word, it's obvious that they're interlinked.
And the songs segue into each other too. So this is like
Right, so
more.
it should be Dreamer Deceiver.
You know what? Maybe I should fix my copy.
You know what? And something similar, right? On Rock and Roll, it was Winter Deep Freeze, Winter Retreat. I don't think that winter is supposed to be there. I think it's supposed to be Winter Deep Freeze Retreat. But now they're just like, oh, wow, it was always supposed to be like that.
Yeah, like once it got out that way, they're like, oh shit. Well, I guess
Fuck it.
Well, part of the problem is the band has had no control over these records
Right.
since '76. So, like,
we'll get to that.
they do correct. The only CD release, as I understand it, where the prelude is the opening song, was the 2017 box set version that presumably the band had greater control over.
I think you're right. Yeah. In fact, it says the disc of the complete albums collection puts side B before side A, matching the track listing from the original album's back cover. Huh. Interesting.
Okay, I got like a bazillion trivia things here. So how about we do the songs first,
All right.
then some trivia, and at some point I'm gonna have to pull up our scoring sheet, aren't I? Okay. Let's do as released. So we're gonna do that order. So it opens with Victim of Changes.
Okay.
Somewhere I have my notes and the official notes. Let's see. It's a nearly 8-minute song, wide dynamic range in rhythm, texture, mood, heavy riffing, a melodic ballad section, extended guitar leads, an almost classical sounding twin guitar introduction leads to the violent main riff.
Yep.
It was apparently inspired by Led Zeppelin's Black Dog. And
Makes sense.
it began as 2 songs, Whiskey Woman, which explains the first line, and Red Light Lady. Whiskey Woman was an early Priest song by Downing and Al Atkins that the band chose not to include on their first album, though it had long been a crowd pleaser opener at live shows and features on early demo recordings. To this, the band wove in the slow Red Light Lady, a song Halford brought with him from his previous band Hiroshima. So I wrote here, this is just, it's clearly a rock-a-rolla song. Like, I know we just said that, but like,
Yeah.
I turned this album on, I'm like, oh, it's rock-a-rolla again. And that happens a few times, I think.
Yeah, I think that's fair. It's very, very, very blues based. And I look forward. We don't have to talk about it now, but you're sharing when things were played last live, because it's interesting. A lot of, like, this song was in their live set forever. I think they may have dropped it lately because they seem to be dropping the 70s stuff and playing more obscure stuff, but it probably also has to do with changing taste too, and that the people who grew up with this maybe going to concerts less now. It's all just 18-year-olds who grew up with Painkiller. This is a good song. I mean, it's a classic song. Failed romance, lyrical themes. The leads are good. It probably doesn't deserve to be 8 minutes, and there's really only the one riff and then sort of iterations on one riff.
Yeah, which is very rock-a-rolla of them.
Yeah. But it is a good, I mean, I feel like I would rather listen to this song than most of rock-a-rolla. Personally. I mean, I think it encapsulates that sound well. So yeah, it's a little long.
There's good natural drama to it, and especially live, that ending high note has always been a magical moment.
I mean, it's a really strong opening track / track 5.
Yeah, what I didn't, does Island of Domination in any way lead into Victim of Changes?
I didn't notice anything.
Yeah, because you have the fade in that some people whine about, but I think it actually works.
That didn't bug me either. You know? Who are these people who are complaining? Here, let me just.
People on Metal Archives, obviously.
Okay, Island of Domination ends with that piano thing.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And it's a hard out, not a fade.
it
That's
ends
probably
with
a fade. Yeah.
Yeah, it ends with Halford going, "Ah!" and then echo. So it could work, going into the other one.
Yeah. 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 I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure that's the case. I think they're just liars.
All right, next track. The Ripper, a busy, chugging, riff-heavy rocker. The Ripper features arrangements inspired by Queen, particularly the high-pitched layered opening vocals and classical tinge twin guitars. The lyrics of the Tipton-penned track are from the point of view of Victorian serial killer Jack the Ripper. Oh, you didn't put that together?
Shit.
I thought this was
Ripper
about,
Rowans? You didn't know that?
I thought this was like a prophetic song about a 9-year-old boy who would one day front the band.
Did you look up how old Ripper was when this song came out?
No, not at all.
Oh, that's great. This song, this is like, I think, in my opinion, this is the first Judas Priest song that sounds like Judas Priest.
You know what?
Yeah.
Remember we were talking last time about like the fish with like knobby leg things, and we're like, okay, I can kind of see like that's a frog. This is like the next phase in evolution where like it's still like a fishy looking frog, but it's definitively a frog, and that's what this is. This is like an amphibian. Like, yes, it still spends 80% of its life in water, but it can crawl around ably. It has fully developed little flipper hands. This is a fucking heavy metal song, kind of. And this is a Judas Priest song, mostly. It's a great song. I like it. I love it, in fact. It might be my favorite Judas Priest song that we've heard.
It's their first classic straight ahead rocker. Like Victim of Changes is also a classic, but this is the classic 3 to 5 minute Priest song, mid-up tempo.
It has the screams.
Yeah, the vocal dynamics, very clear lyrics, very visually evocative lyrics. This isn't like some of these going through star fields and shit and like your mind. This is just about some guy killing people.
They're very clearly designed for people listening in like big, like 10-pound 70s headphones, just because they like crossfade a lot. It's like, wah, wah,
Yeah, they did that on the first song too.
Yeah, there's a pretty good stereo use throughout. And for no money, the production here is decent and certainly an improvement over Rock-a-Rolla.
Yeah. The only other thing I have to add about this song is I think this might be the first one where it has like lead guitar melodies instead of just solos.
Yeah, like the riffs. Although I do like that we're in a phase of the heavy metal evolution where you can basically just kind of like go up a scale for your solos, like da 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 da. Like, holy shit, that was impressive.
Don't look too hard because they start doing that's like a technique that's taught to guitarists to this day. Just play scale fragments because that's all you're practicing anyway. There's a reason I never became a lead guitarist. All right. Dreamer, possibly Dreamer Deceiver.
Dreamer Deceiver.
Right. Slow ballad with crooning vocals and screaming lead soloing. The song serves as an introduction to the heavy Deceiver, which follows it. Atkins originally received partial credit for both tracks, but disclaimed involvement in them. Later releases removed his credit. I've never heard of that. Like, if someone offers you credit, you take it because that's where the money is.
Yeah, he was a victim of changes.
I see what you did there. Yeah, so I think the falsetto in the clean intros is a little weird. And this whole thing comes off as Led Zeppelin-y to me, and it's clearly they were listening to Led Zeppelin.
Yeah, it's very apparent, and it almost even like Pink Floyd-y, psychedelic-y kind of stuff in the middle. But yeah, this is just a Led Zeppelin song that they wrote.
I wrote here, here's that adult Halford sound again. When he's like, trying to sound older.
Yeah. I'm not 21 years old. I don't know why he sounds like Santa.
Well, he has the Santa beard now, so
he does, yeah.
Maybe he's like distantly related to Santa.
He's like, I'm singing like an adult. Da da da.
So later in the song, it the whole song. Do you use Plex Amp ever?
No.
It has a little waveform of the song, and what's neat about this is you can the song just gets louder in a perfectly smooth.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so it's just I think Winamp used to do that too.
Oh yeah, Winamp was the best.
Yeah, here's my recommendation. If you liked Winamp, Music Bee is the closest I've found to Winamp.
Okay.
Okay. But I use Plex Amp as well. So if you want simple, go with Plex Amp. If you want highly customizable, you want Music Bee. Anyway, yeah, so the whole song is basically one long crescendo. And I like where it goes. So like it gets heavier and more distorted, and then Halford's doing like screams at the end. The solo fits perfectly. I'm not sure who did which solo. Because I feel like they split them evenly, but I bet they're just panned to whoever did them. But then
I think it's tipped in on the left and downing in the right, usually, or every time but Defenders of the Faith when they've released it in reverse by accident. We're going to see if they correct that.
Yeah, so they it's this big crescendo, and then there's a key change on the last note, which I was like, that's weird.
Yeah, I didn't.
But it turns out that's where the next song starts. Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah, I think it modulates up a step.
It does. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. Just listening to it now. Yeah, that's what's going on here.
Yeah, not super my cup of tea, but the composition's good, and you can see the band grow and kind of a transition between more ethereal lyrics and then maybe more comic booky. I do like the British cultural imagination, like willow trees. Like that's what they know.
Yeah, I don't know if it's obvious, but I've been like glossing over lyrics. My CD insert didn't even have lyrics.
Oh, so it's not a metal record.
No. So it goes into Deceiver, which is a heavy song with a chugging riff, presaging the technical style of speed metal. I don't know about that.
I don't know about that at all.
Deceiver features energetic soloing and a heavy Black Sabbath-like break with soaring high-pitched vocals climaxing in a repetitive acoustic closing. So
maybe
this song has the Am I Evil rhythm in it. da 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 da. Diamond Head came out with that song after this album. So I'm not saying they stole the writing credits from Judas Priest for Am I Evil, but I'm not saying they're not too.
Okay.
There's a good trade-off from Halford to the solo. Halford's a little rough around the edges in my opinion, during all the high stuff in the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
But that middle part is Black Sabbath-y.
Yeah.
And then the acoustic outro, I believe, is a 6-string and a 12-string. I think one side's a 6 and the other side's a 12. But it's like brief. It's only for like 4 seconds. So
yeah, then it works in the middle of a record. It might work even better at the end, but it's fine here. Good couple of songs. I think we'll find out. I don't think we played this live too much.
all right, so
It's not bad.
next track or the first track. So the next side, when you flip it over, opens with Prelude, a short Baroque instrumental alternating between tonic and dominant. See, that's not what I wrote. I wrote it's in the melodic minor. So I don't know who's right. Despite the title, Prelude is musically unrelated to the following track, Tyrant. So it does segue into Tyrant, but it has nothing to do with Tyrant. But it's instrumental, so who cares? Yeah. Like, I don't know why they wrote this. I got to stop using my source for these.
Yeah, that's a strong assertion that's not necessarily backed up by the music.
Right.
A prelude does not mean continuation is a given.
So the synths in this song mixed with like the classical type thing gave me a Clockwork Orange vibe. You know, there's a lot of scenes when Alex is like, I don't know, sitting there drinking milk or whatever, and it's like a slow pan in, and I like this music would fit perfectly over it as it's, you know?
I can see that. Yeah.
Now, is this the first time metal and classical have been mixed? Manowar would say no. The first time metal and classical mixed were anytime Wagner did everything because they want to blow Wagner.
But is that, I guess the question is like, when does metal start?
Yeah.
It started on track 2 on the Ripper.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty
much.
Well, I think I've been thinking about Black Sabbath is kind of metal by default, right?
Oh yeah, Black Sabbath's first album was metal. Yeah,
but they're not like sort of consciously shaping a genre. They're just being Black Sabbath.
Yeah,
and you know the songs like Rock and Roll Doctor and all this shit on Technical Ecstasy. Mm-hmm. Like Priest is shaping a genre, and by especially Unleashed in the East, man, it is there. And to see them update the performance of some of these songs there in a much more metal direction is just fascinating. But yeah, it's like a 4-year journey to get to there.
Let's need a Tyrant now.
Yeah,
Prelude's fine. They've got a bunch of these 2-minute instrumentals, and this is going to be a good prelude to a live show.
Oh yeah,
this would be a good it's too slow, but coming like a setting up the stage. Like I can see the guitar techs like putting stuff together,
or when you turn up the lights after the encore.
Yeah,
put this on.
Yeah, okay. Like get the fuck out of here. There's no good music anymore. That makes sense.
So it ends with that tape slowdown sound.
Oh, I do like that. That's probably my favorite part of the whole track.
All right, so then it goes into Tyrant, a heavy track full of many parts and tempo changes.
Yep.
Again, I don't know about that either.
somewhat tempo changes.
Many parts, many tempo changes. I don't know.
I mean, it's like a 4-minute song, so I guess there's more than one.
Halford has said that Tyrant expresses his aversion towards any form of control.
All right.
Very metal.
Some of us might argue that there's some kinds of control that Halford's into, but that's for another discussion.
No, that's a few songs from now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I love Tyrant. I think Ripper's a better song,
Yeah.
but Tyrant is also like an earworm. It's going to get stuck in there. I also think the delivery of the word tyrant is weird. Tyrant. But
That's true.
everything around that is just fantastic.
Yeah, and
Almost
it's like
lazy.
well, I feel like it's probably kind of the time.
Tyrant.
Tyrant.
But this is the second, like, when you think of Judas Priest, this is the second song that sounds like Judas Priest.
Yeah, I agree with that. They also have a harmonized solo, I think, for the first time.
Yeah.
Which is, which other bands have made their career on. Judas Priest did it first here in 76. So
fuck you guys. Other
as
bands.
a metal band, I should say. I'm sure there have been harmonized solos. Write all your examples of pre-1976 harmonized guitar solos for hard rock bands in the comments, or to you're wrong at podcastthemdown.com, and then we will ridicule you. It ends with a great Halford scream when he says, "Every man shall." Oh, I can't get up that high.
That's it's pretty good.
And the good, you can start to see the lyrics transition from arty to more heavy metal. Like this song would be great in the movie Heavy Metal, and probably in the segment where they actually play Mob Rules.
Okay.
All right. Next song is Genocide, a forward-looking riff-heavy rocker bearing the influence of heavy rockers such as the Deep Purple tracks Woman from Tokyo and Burn. Halford expressed hope that the song's strong and graphic lyrics would be provocative and somewhat controversial and to stimulate people. The phrase sin after sin from the lyrics to Genocide provided the title to the band's next album. Yeah, so there's like a spoken interlude in the middle where he goes, sin after sin. So that's where they got the title, I suppose.
Yet I bear the wounds of love.
Yeah, you do.
Very, very 70s.
Absolutely.
And I have this memory that this song was about persecution of indigenous people, but it's not really in the lyrics. It's more universal.
Well, what if I told you that when he says battalions at the top of the song, it sounded to me like he said Italians.
Oh, no. Guess it's about Libya.
And now I have ruined it for everyone. You're going to hear it's about Italians. Wait, you still have ice cream?
It's like some melty goodness.
Oh, it's like second ice cream.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this song doesn't really have the same impact to me as Tyrant or Ripper, but it's like in that same bucket, you know?
Yeah, agreed.
I would like to say that Doug is absolutely right, because I put the Mob Rules scene of Heavy Metal on and put it on mute, and it's much better. It's much better with this.
Yeah, another episode. The irony of the heavy metal is it doesn't have much heavy metal in the soundtrack.
Right, yeah.
Yep. So the other thing about this song is it kind of gets heavier as it goes, but that first part, like, that riff doesn't befit a song called Genocide. It's too like but there's a, there's, 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 several drum breaks, and yeah, like I said, it drives harder as it goes.
It probably shouldn't be 5 minutes 50 seconds long,
No.
but
Yeah, they could have chopped up that first part.
It's also
Make
one
the
of those
spoken
songs.
interlude a spoken intro. There you go.
yeah.
It's kind of a heavy metal trope. Iron Maiden is certainly guilty of this, and Judas Priest is too. But it's a song they couldn't figure out how to end, so they just like keep playing the riff and fade out. And like, how does the song end? Like, oh,
All right, so next song, Epitaph.
well, we're back to rock and roll.
A quiet track with piano backing and piano backing. The whole thing's piano. What the fuck are you talking about?
Well, I
And
guess it is piano back.
And Queen like layered vocals. I'll agree with that. Halford said the lyrics to Epitaph express frustration at a lack of place for the young or old in modern cities.
I guess.
So he's kind of Rock and Rolla. We were talking about the guitar hiss.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure I heard some room noise before the vocals come in on this one.
I think you're right.
You know? But yeah, this song
right there.
This song wants to be a Queen song, a Queen ballad to me. There are parts that remind me of Therion. There's a Therion song called Arrow from the Sun that has vocals like this.
Okay.
But then the piano part also reminds me of did you have Smashing Pumpkins' Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness? It opens with a piano intro. That's what this reminds me of.
Yeah, you're right. You're
It's
absolutely
like
right.
slowed down though for this.
So I was listening at work. I mean, I was working at work, but I thought that that the album was over and it was like some obscure Elton John album or something.
Yeah, just like to pull up recommended listening.
This is the next mid-70s song, like mid-70s album.
I mean, it's fine, but like if it didn't happen to be smack dab in the middle of the record, you'd never listen to it.
Right.
Yeah, and this song is one reason I think flipping the sides doesn't work.
Yeah, this is a terrible track 3.
This is a weird place to put the song. Burying it towards the end of the record makes a lot more sense than burying it towards the end of the first side, you know?
And you know what? Either way, this song benefits from an LP because you're not going to pick up the needle to skip it. But in digital formats, you're just like, nope.
No. Yeah, but it's not a bad song. It's just like it's a Queen song or something.
It's just not what I came here for.
Maybe like a Paul McCartney thing.
I would not say the lyrics are relatable to the listener.
No. Not like the next one.
They used they did an Epitaph tour. We'll find out if they ever played this live. But yeah, Andy Sneap, they can wheel out the keyboard.
They need like a single lamppost and maybe like some leaves.
Yeah. And a park bench. Half of them be singing while sitting on a bench.
Yeah, so this kind of segues into the final track, which is, sorry, I'm trying to do two things at once, which is called Island of Domination. The side closing, Island of Domination, is a heavy rocker with a complex riff. A complex riff? What? In a style reminiscent of Black Sabbath. Two things I disagree with. Actually, I take it back. It is Sabbathy, but it is not complex. Downing described the lyrics as personal to Halford, joking of their having probably a few innuendos. All right, so
I don't hear it.
Yeah, so this is kind of like gets back into a rock-a-rolla riff vocal lead thing, and I'm pretty sure this song also probably directly inspired Spinal Tap's music.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. It definitely.
It's got a "Tonight I'm Gonna Rock You Tonight" vibe.
Yeah.
Well, Priest claims to be their biggest inspiration, including the rotating drummers.
I am not at all surprised by this because they went through a bunch of drummers. The one guy was gardening, while making the album, and one of Spinal Tap's drummers died in a gardening accident. There are too many similarities.
Yeah,
I think you're right. So also for some reason, Halford does like a Louis Armstrong impression when he says, "Combination."
That doesn't really work.
No, and I'm pretty sure he never does it again. But I'm gonna be listening for it in the next couple of 70s albums. Yeah.
For up-tempo last track rocker, it's pretty good. Some of the flourishes are dated, but it's fine.
Yeah, it is catchy though. Not as much as Tyrant, I think.
Although I don't like the breakdown in the middle. Not so much the like the heavy riff is fine, but the breakdown where they're just kind of like throttle down. It's like no. It just kind of took me out of it.
Right. It doesn't sound like Skyrider's supersonic flyer expressed in music.
All right. So that is the album. I have a big pile of facts and trivia, which, if you'll indulge me, I'd like to go through them because for other albums, they're very light on facts and trivia.
Okay, that's
and
fair.
Background. All right. So, David Howells of Gull Records commissioned Patrick Woodroffe to provide the cover art, a piece called Fallen Angel, depicting a struggling, grounded angel surrounded by flames and wearing a devil's three-pronged cross, which became the band's symbol. Halford posed
this thing.
Yep. Halford posed Christ-like on the reverse, and Gothic fonts adorned the front and back. So the Rock-a-Rolla just had Judas Priest in like block letters. This one they had it in Old English looking font. Album had A-side and B-side reversed. We already talked about that. It had little commercial success at first, if that sounds familiar. And had difficulty getting noticed due to critical competition from the rise of punk rock. The band supported the album with a headlining tour of the UK from April 6th to June 20th, 1976. The album was awarded gold in, do you want to guess? Came
Germany.
out in 76. Oh, yeah. What year? This is US RIAA gold. It was awarded gold. What
87.
year?
91.
Oh, by Price is Right rules. Doug wins. It was 89.
Fuck.
It arrived at the same time as other influential metal albums from the late 70s, including Richie Blackmore's Rainbows Rising and Virgin Killer from the Scorpions.
Okay.
The band had grown dissatisfied with Gull. The tight finances led Moore to leave the band again, this time permanently.
Yeah, he went on to draw comic books.
So, the album caught the attention of CBS Records, and with the help of new manager David Hemmings, the band signed with CBS and received a budget for the next record, Sin After Sin, of... Do you want to save it for the next one?
It was 200,
just to remind, 2,000 pounds
a track, or for the
per
record?
Album for each of the first two. 2,000 pounds for Sad Wings of Destiny,
I'm going to say they doubled it. 4,000 quid.
25,000.
60,000.
Wow.
They could have made 30 Sad Wings of Destinies for the budget they had for Sin
60,000.
After Sin. 60,000 in 1977 money.
Just write the album in the studio.
Yeah. Downing described how the disappointed feelings the group had over Gull's management influenced the dark themes that appeared on Sad Wings of Destiny. There's I would also say this like directly corresponds to Iced Earth's pre-troubling period when they put out the Red album, the third album that was Red, Burnt Offerings. That's what it's called.
It's the same cover. You're right.
So that's roughly, just doing the math, in US dollars currently, that's $700,000.
How much is 2,000? I realize I could do the math and just divide it by 30, but instead I don't want to.
200,000, 2,000, 1970, 18,000.
$76 now.
That's 18,000 pounds today. 18,000 GBP to USD is roughly, it's just like 23 grand.
Okay, so, it's
not awful.
No, it's not awful. So, they've signed with CBS Records. What did that mean? Means they have to break their contract with Gull. What does that mean?
Lawsuit time?
Not quite. It means Gull gets all the rights for the songs.
Oh,
forever.
no. Well, it's a good thing they didn't blow up and become super popular in the next few years.
Wouldn't it technically be that Gull got the recordings?
Correct. Yeah, so they got the rights to the first two albums and all related recordings, including demos. They became property of Gull Records.
Ruh-roh.
So they repackaged and re-released the material from the first two albums over and over and over and over again, such as on the 1981 double album Hero Hero. During the Sad Wings sessions, Howells encouraged the band to work on the heavy metal. We talked about this at length already. Work on a heavy metal cover of Diamonds and Rust by folk singer Joan Baez, but it did not appear on the album. The band had a hit in the UK with a re-recording of the cover version the following year, which we'll get to in the next episode, after they moved to CBS Records. But there was a recording, and then Gull put it on re-releases.
Wah, wah.
Judas Priest frequently performed the song Mother's Son during the Sad Wings era, but never recorded it. The ballad with its queen-like vocals has survived only in bootleg recordings, so there's a missing song.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Are you
never
familiar
heard
with this? Yeah, me neither.
No.
The technical dexterity and operatic vocals pointed towards trends in heavy metal that new wave of British heavy metal bands such as Iron Maiden were to follow. That's right. Fuck them.
Fuck those guys.
I'm just pointing out that Judas Priest invented everything that people like about Iron Maiden. That's all.
You know what?
I'm just pointing that out.
One day we should do a Iron Maiden discography. I think that'd be really interesting to chart their rise and fall.
It would be. I must have dreamed something. It was a nightmare where we did that, but it can't be as bad as it.
Yeah.
The dream.
I mean, they're a very famous metal band, Doug.
All right.
When you're done, I got something.
Sure. Just a couple more. Dave Mustaine of Megadeth.
Oh, I read this. This is amazing.
Relates that his brother-in-law, a religious man, punched him in the face for listening to Sad Wings of Destiny. Mustaine called this a turning point where he chose heavy metal as a career as revenge. But also but Dave Mustaine has repeatedly claimed that he's religious. So.
I was about to say that put Dave Mustaine right off religion forever.
Mikael Åkerfeldt of Opeth named Sad Wings of Destiny as his second favorite metal album. I had to look up what his number one was.
What is it?
Can you guess the band?
Iron Maiden?
Nope.
Black
Earlier.
Sabbath?
Black Sabbath. Yep. It was Sabbath Bloody Sabbath,
Okay,
Okay.
well, that makes sense.
which came out around the same time, actually. Judas Priest's 1990 album Painkiller features a winged figure Halford has described as a futuristic version of the fallen angel from the Sad Wings of Destiny cover. The band's 2005 album Angel of Retribution, with Halford again in the band, revives the fallen angel again. The cover concept has the angel rise and seek retribution, and the song Judas Rising has him cast off his gloom and rise in optimism. Nothing more metal than optimism.
All right. Optimism.
Oh, I think he picks up his motorcycle in what's that one? Not Hellrider, the other Demonizer. Yeah.
Yep. You said you had one?
Well, I think one of the things that's been true of Judas Priest forever is they don't repeat themselves, and there's a lot of space between each record. There's a lot of stylistic progression, much more than Maiden. Though honestly, in that Nightmare, I remember there's actually more separation in the Maiden records than I had remembered. But Priest has never done the same album twice, even the 80s commercial stuff. And we see very rapid evolution over the next couple of records.
That's fair.
All right. Live performances, and then we'll score, and then we'll get out of here. They, for some reason, Setlist.fm has included Victim of Changes on this. Oh, wait. No, I'm getting that confused.
I think it's on this album, Tim.
Yeah, no. I was confusing it with Diamonds and Rust. All right,
Weirdo.
Victim of Changes got played the most at 1,178 times, followed by The Ripper, Tyrant, Genocide, Deceiver, Dreamer Deceiver. I'm guessing they always played them together because they're both at 10. So that's literally 1% of Victim of Changes. And then Island of Domination, 6 times.
Okay.
And Epitaph is not on here. And neither is Prelude. So, Tyrant was last played in 2019, so they were playing it on that tour. I skipped one. Victim of Changes. They've been playing pretty much throughout their career.
I'm looking at it's not in their last couple of sets.
Yeah, so they last played it in 2022. They did play it in 98. So somewhere there's Ripper singing it.
Oh yeah, I think he's probably all his shows because he does the high at the end, of course, very well.
Yep. All right, the Ripper they've been playing throughout their career as well. Let's see, Genocide they stopped playing in the early 80s and then brought it back in 2022. So nothing for that whole time. Dreamer, Deceiver, and Deceiver they only played in 1975 and 76. Again, 10 times. And then same with Island of Domination. They haven't played it since the 70s.
And it's claimed Epitaph was never played.
That, according to Setlist.fm, that's our source on this. All right, so I think that is everything I got for our very in-depth analysis. Let's throw some scores on this, and by some scores I mean we have to come to an agreement. So I think it's better than Rock-a-Rolla.
Definitely better than Rock and Roll.
Which we scored a 5, but there's some room for improvement.
Yeah.
In my mind, I've had this zombie thought that this is the best of their 70s records, and I can see why I would think that because it's a very accessible record. But at the end of the day, there are 3 or 4 great songs. 2 you're never going to listen to, and it's all okay, but it's not some of the records coming up.
somewhere between 7 and 7.5.
Really? That's
wow.
higher than I expected.
I think we have to recognize the influence and this album relative to other albums of 75.
I was gonna aim for a 6.
I'm much closer to a 6 than a 7. And even though there's influence,
But how good is Ripper though?
I mean,
how good is Tyrant?
Ripper's a good song, and Tyrant is a good song, but as an album, I was actually thinking 5.5 or 5.75. This is a market improvement, but there's still a lot of stuff that is not great. The good stuff is good, but the rest is rock and roll.
Yeah, I like how you have been calling it rock and roll.
What is rock and roll, right?
All right. I think 6.5 is a good place to put it then.
I mean, I can be bullied to 6.5.
I'm going to challenge on, I think it should be 7.
Oh, shit. Doug just threw his challenge flag.
We agree Victim of Changes is a good song, if possibly not our cup of tea from a metal perspective. Ripper is a fantastic song. The Dreamer Deceiver suite is fine. Interesting, well done. Prelude is good for an instrumental. Tyrant is great. Genocide is fine. Epitaph, no. And then Island of Domination, which is fine. So does that really sound like a 6 or a 6.5? I don't think so.
Can I rephrase that? Is that a C or a D on your final exam?
Oh, that's a great way to phrase that. It's a C. Yeah, okay, 7. But wait, what if we gave it a 6.9, bro? like your teacher's nice. He's gonna bump up the 0.1 on your final grade.
There's no learning curve. These are learning curve. There's no grading curve. These are British school marms.
These are British school. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if we put it on a curve, it's even better.
I'm comfortable with the 7.
I'm comfortable with a 7.
We bullied him into it.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Opium Death, come help me.
And by the way, Tim, fuck you.
What did I do?
You know who UFO is. They did Doctor Doctor.
Oh, I know that song.
The lime and the coconut song?
I said, they should have been better then. Because they weren't good enough to make me remember. And I blame them and not myself.
Fair. That's more than fair.
All right, until next time, Metal Nation, go listen to Sin After Sin, because that is the next one up. Keep it metal.
Cast them down.
Because we gave this fucking album a 7, like we're gonna get to the good albums. Like, I'm gonna have to give it a 9.9999999, and then this is a 9.999999999.